From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, March 9th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.35 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,255 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $415. Antiwar.com reports nearly a year into the Saudi Arabian war in Yemen, and after multiple failed UN attempts to start peace talks, the Shiite Houthis and Saudi officials are reportedly engaging in peace talks of their own, with a Houthi delegation arriving in the Saudi kingdom for their first visit of the war. Details are scant, but the report is that the Saudis invited the Houthis to talk, and the Houthis have since confirmed that talks are taking place. Previously, throughout the war, the Saudis have suggested talks were impossible. The Houthis took over Yemen's capital city in late 2014, and President Hadi resigned in January 2015 after failed talks on constitutional reform and new elections. Saudi Arabia attacked Yemen in March, vowing to reinstall Hadi. Over the course of the war, the Saudis have taken the southern port of Aden, which is now Hadi's interim capital city. The Houthis retain control of the capital of Sana'a and much of the country's north. The stalemate may be driving the talks, but the growing influence of Al-Qaeda, which has seized some territory in the east with the other factions busy fighting one another, is likely also a factor. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports state investigators have ruled that troopers who shot an activist to death during the 41-day standoff at an Oregon wildlife refuge were justified in their actions, according to authorities on Tuesday. Investigators had been looking into the circumstances surrounding the confrontation and shooting of Robert Lavoie Finicum in January, 3 weeks into the Eamon Bundy-led takeover of the Malheur Wildlife Refuge in southern Oregon. FBI agents and Oregon state troopers monitoring the refuge said they formulated the plan to allow several members of Bundy's group to leave the sanctuary on January 26th in two separate vehicles. The members were heading to a meeting in Grant County where Bundy was scheduled to speak. Once the vehicles were away from the refuge, however, authorities set up a roadblock on U.S. Highway 395. Malheur County District Attorney Dan Norris said Tuesday they determined that Finicum's shooting was justified and necessary under the circumstances because the law enforcement officers feared for their safety. Investigators, however, will conduct a separate investigation into the actions and statements of the FBI agents involved in the shooting. Finicum's family responded Tuesday by criticizing the official determination that troopers acted lawfully when they shot Finicum 3 times. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. The Washington Post reports billionaire Donald Trump won Republican primaries in Michigan, Mississippi, and the caucus in Hawaii, victories in far-flung states, which showed that furious attacks by Trump's rivals and his own party elite had failed to blunt his momentum. In the Democratic presidential race, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton won the primary in Mississippi. Early in the night, Clinton won the Democratic primary in Mississippi. In the first two Republican races of Tuesday night, early returns showed Trump winning by double-digit margins. There was little sign of drop-off even after days of attacks by Senators Marco Rubio of Florida and Ted Cruz of Texas, and by super PACs, which had blasted Trump's business record and called him untrustworthy. Ted Cruz won the Republican presidential primary in Idaho, while the night's biggest surprise, however, came in the Democratic presidential race, where Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders won an upset victory over former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in Michigan. For Sanders, the Democratic socialist from Vermont, running an insurgent campaign on Clinton's left, the Michigan victory will bring a new energy after several weeks in which his chances had seemed to fade. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.